I'm here with Jim Holden, founder, and Ryan Kubacki, president, to talk about the new era at Holden International. I'd like to start out by asking Jim, for those who are new to sales training, can you tell us briefly about power-based selling and how it got started?
Sure. When I started my sales career, I came out here to Chicago from Boston in the mid-'70s. And I was in a very competitive field and was able to win some deals, but also lose some deals.
Oh, Jim, you lost a deal?
Believe it or not, I did.
Okay.
But the good news was I was able to figure out why. My background was engineering oriented, and I started to take a more scientific approach to looking at what really caused you to win deals or lose deals. And it was at that time that the intangibles, understanding the customer's political infrastructure, formulating strategy, start to come to life for me. And as that happened, I began to focus more and more on that, and then later began to codify that, and that was the basis for power-based selling.
Holden International has been on top for 30 years. Power-based selling is still an overwhelming success. So the question is, what does Holden do for an encore?
Well, you know, for us, thought leadership has always been a central organizing focus, if you will. And for me personally, going back even before we started the firm, my personal mission centered in on helping people by opening new frontiers. And in this case, it was taking a scientific approach to competitive selling, engaging in defeating competition, as I mentioned, mapping out political infrastructure and so forth. And today that continues, and in a very exciting way. We've strengthened our senior staff, bringing in new people, and that began, in fact, with Ryan, who shares this personal mission with me. And so there's a personal, not just compatibility, but bonding between ourselves. We both have strong sales experience, but whereas I brought more of a scientific orientation to the business and its application to competitive selling, Ryan brings a far more sophisticated business perspective. And the combined effect of those two is just very synergistic, it's powerful, and quite frankly, it's a lot of fun.
Ryan and Jim, share with us the backstory on how the two of you actually met.
Yeah, well, I'll start with that. We were at the time working with Microsoft, and Ryan was heading up a part of the U.S. sales organization. And so we really started working together on a project. It worked out really well, and that was kind of the beginning of a new relationship.
Yeah, I was your boss back then as your client. But we had some competitive must-win deals, and we won a fair share of those. And the relationship evolved, and what we found is we both recognized there's a lot of innovation that Holden's brought, and the last 10 or so years there's been significant changes in the market, and we started working together to talk about how the sales profession must evolve with those changes. And the last 5 years, there's been a lot of increased innovations from those discussions.
Yeah.
So Ryan, you've been charged with leading Holden International into the next generation of selling. So what's new? What are the updates that you've implemented?
Well, a lot, and partnered with Jim as well as our senior team. Because the world of selling has changed a lot, so must sellers. So we're launching a brand new offering, a brand called Power-Based Compete. It sits on top of our strong foundational offering, Power-Based Selling. We've brought on significant new talent, people that are experts in compete strategy in all domains, whether it be clearly in the world of selling, whether it be in general management, whether it be from business school backgrounds, whether it be from even in situations of planning large-scale military conflicts, people that have really understood and led compete situations. And we're also, it's kind of fun, we're sitting in a brand new building. We're downtown Chicago,
Sure.
in the famous 135 South LaSalle building, right across from the Board of Trade over my shoulder, which is sort of a physical manifestation of sort of the progress and the change. And probably the most exciting thing that's new is the Fox Den. The Fox Den is an exclusive community for our alumni, some 600,000 across the globe. We're going to have elite content from blogs to white papers to case studies to discussion boards to networking events. It's really about advanced selling for advanced sellers. It's going to be an exclusive place of thought leadership and to elevate compete selling to management science.
So really it's going to be a compete community.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to help a lot of customers and learn how to outsell our competition.
Power-based selling is still a best-selling book for you, Jim, and a huge influence on the industry. Yet you've decided to do a new book, one that you're calling Power-Based Compete. Can you tell us what's changed and why the marketplace actually needs that?
Yeah, I sure can, and a lot's changed, both with our firm and out in the marketplace. And Rye, let me come back to you in a moment because I'd like you to comment on that.
Yeah, sure.
You know, a lot of what we do is driven by our customers, and we are really fortunate, in fact, blessed to have a strong portfolio of customers with some 600,000 alumni, if you will. And with that, we've built really close relationships with our clients. And what we've learned from that, and what we see now every day, is that these companies have really built a tremendous body of expertise when it comes to competing at the product and service levels, without question. However, we also see the opportunity, and where our focus is on helping them augment that expertise around product and service positioning and all the kinds of things you think about when you look at compete from a product perspective, augmenting that with a field compete capability. And that tends to manifest itself in two ways. In today's marketplace, we need to protect and grow our installed base, and so we need to establish a first line of defense. Additionally, we also have to penetrate new accounts and create new revenue streams. And that means we have to create an offensive vanguard. Both of those require compete expertise, not based on what you're selling, but how you're selling. And today more than ever, this is becoming so significant. And Ryan, why don't you talk about that a little bit in terms of what's changed out there, underscoring the importance of this compete expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I'm one of those alumni.
Right.
You know, I've made quite a bit of money and helped a lot of customers using your methodology.
Does that mean I get to pay you less, by the way?
We'll talk about that after.
Okay.
But it's exciting, and you know, my time at Harvard Business School many years ago, I saw a lot of frameworks that were helpful for senior executives to codify how to take products to market. I haven't seen that kind of rigor on the sales side, and I think there's a huge opportunity to make compete selling a management science that can be understood and therefore replicated across large organizations. And it starts with executive recognition that this can be a competitive advantage as much as the product strategy. And I think it goes into the point about it's not enough to want to win. You have to have that, you know, the will to prepare to win. And just like product teams would never take a product to market without a thoughtful, insightful business plan, well, compete sellers would never go after a pursuit, whether it be an opportunity, an account, or a territory, without an insightful business plan. And that's where power-based compete comes into play. And you know, the other point, now more than ever, it's needed. You look at these last 10 years, you've had two monumental events. You've had the internet and you've had the Great Recession. It's changed dramatically how customers buy and therefore how sellers sell. And so I think now more than ever, this compete selling must be a core organizational competency, and I think we have the model to help them do it.
So we're really bringing a lot of the disciplines that have existed in driving the development and approach to market for very successful products and services. We're now applying that to the field.
Yeah, and those things are never going to go away. You always have to have good products. It's just not always enough. You have to complement it. So
yeah, exactly.
Ryan, you've just talked a little bit about framework and science in the pursuit of selling. Can we move beyond the theory? And can you share with me how I would actually know I was watching a power-based compete seller in action? And what does a power-based compete seller do?
That's a great question, and I would start by defining compete sales strategy. It's developing the insightful direction to win. So it starts with insight. Insight is the ability to derive value from a lot of information and data that's out there. There's no lack of that in today's 2.0 world. But how do you develop the insight of what's most relevant to help position your offerings in a way that's differentiated from the competition, but also recognized by your customers' power base, which is key. So it's insight. Direction is understanding the right sales activities in the right time, the right people, in the right order. We've codified that in different classes of sales strategy, whether it be indirect, whether it be direct, containment, divisional, et cetera. And then lastly is winning. Winning is about helping your customers' business improve, but in a way that your profits and margins grow. It's not only about helping your customers. You got to help your own company too. And good compete sellers are able to provide unexpected value in a way that not only their customers are very excited, but their margins increase as well.
They create a balance.
That's right.
So how does that relate to how the seller views the competition.
Well, it's a great question. Compete sellers manage two things well and in balance. One is the customer environment, which clearly is important. They know how to position value along a continuum. But compete sellers don't stop there. They're deeply sensitive and aware of their competitors in the account. So the first point I would say is they actually view their competition. They spend a lot of time on competitive intelligence. In fact, I think Jim has a podcast on our Foxton on that. And they really understand these people are there to try to take them out. And your mission is actually to take them out. And one of the important ways to do that is by providing better value and unexpected value to your customer.
Okay, guys, suppose I'm a seller or a sales executive and I'm sold on Power-Based Compete. I want to adapt it for my organization. How do I become Compete sales ready?
Well, I think first from an organization, it starts with executive recognition that this, in fact, Compete sales needs to be a core organizational competency, just as our product strategy is. So it starts at the very top. We spent a lot of time talking to, I was just with the CEO of a Fortune 10 company having this very discussion, because until they understand how Compete selling can be just as much a management science as product Compete, it's important to make that point first. Secondly, then we have all sorts. This is what we do. We help organizations become Compete ready. We have Holden's 10 Steps to Impact. We also have a methodology deployment, a best practice engagement model that allows you to start with installation, ensuring adoption, reinforcing adoption, expanding capability. So we work with you, and we've worked with companies as many as 15,000 sellers to help make organizations Compete ready.
You guys have talked a lot today about how challenging it is in today's environment for sellers. But it sounds like Holden is actually excited about preparing sellers for the challenge. Can you share a little bit more with me about that?
Sure. We are very excited about what we're doing, and for the right reasons. We're seeing strong impact with our clients. And at the core of that impact, though, there are two things taking place, really. On one side, we're applying unconventional thinking, which is counterintuitive for a lot of folks, but also very powerful, to enabling sellers to provide their customers with unexpected value. Moving up the value chain, where you generate more competitive differentiation, where elasticity of demand allows you to command better margins. And then on the other side, applying unconventional thinking to the identification and the exploitation of either unexpected or discounted competitive vulnerability. When you implement that kind of an approach, it becomes very powerful as a non-traditional source of competitive advantage. And I really do think that's at the core of what's driving a lot of our clients' success in better engaging and defeating their competition and in better penetrating and developing their accounts.
Well, I think the substance and the models behind what Jim just said elevates the conversation about Compete selling as a management science. A lot of people talk about is selling art and a science. There's way too much emphasis on the art part. Compete selling absolutely can be a management science that can be understood and replicated. And we hope with our alumni, with the Foxton, with our clients, to really elevate Compete selling to a true management science. And we're excited to help you outsell your competition.
Yeah.
Through today's discussion, I think we found that Holden International and its students are well positioned to face the future. So thanks to Jim Holden and to Ryan Kubacki for joining us, and thank you for watching.